Shreya Yadav, 25 years old, from Uttar Pradesh. Tanya Soni, 25 years old, from Bihar. And Nevin Dalvin, 28 years old, from Kerala. 3 students, like thousands of others whose parents reluctantly bade them farewell and sent them far from home to India's national capital to study for the IAS. Like all parents, they worried, depending just on WhatsApp and video calls to reassure themselves daily that they had made the right decision. After all, their children were in their mid-20s, hardly kids anymore, and it wasn't like they were being sent to any place dangerous. This was Delhi, after all, a city to which lakhs of students migrate from all corners of India each year. I myself was a student who came from faraway Chennai to Delhi to study many years ago. And yet 3 sets of parents in 3 corners of India will be cremating their children this week, viewer. Take a look at their faces and register their faces. Forever crushed by guilt for letting their children out of their sight and trusting the capital city of a country that literally every day reminds us that we are aiming to be a developed economy in the foreseeable future. So, my dear viewer, do we spend the next few minutes grieving for Shreya, Tanya and Nevin? Or do we use our anger to unambiguously call out those responsible for this murder by negligence? I'm not being emotional by calling it murder. I am aware of the law and sections under which the law will be applied. But I still call it murder on the record and without hesitation here on my show. And I will tell you why. For starters, the Aam Aadmi Party-run government in Delhi. This is a party that built itself on an edifice of honesty, transparency and efficiency, never failing to remind the electorate of how different they were from the legacy parties like the BJP and the Congress, unburdened by the baggage of Darbari politics and coteries. And yet, the AAP government in Delhi has spent the last 2 days passing the buck, shamelessly shifting the blame and refusing to respect where the buck actually stops. Literally with them. They are the government. When the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, or MCD, was controlled by the BJP, the Aam Aadmi Party coolly threw up its hands and said it was helpless anytime anything bad happened in the capital. And now that the MCD is controlled by the Aam Aadmi Party, the party points at the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, alleging that he isn't allowing them to do their work. I'll get to the LG in a minute, viewer, don't worry. And trust me, he won't be getting off easily either. But is the Delhi government really saying it doesn't have the powers to ensure 3 IAS aspirants didn't drown in the heart of Delhi? Even its most ardent supporters will be scoffing, laughing at this shameful dodging of accountability by the Delhi government. The AAP-controlled MCD unleashed its bulldozers today, this morning, to demolish the illegal parts of the IAS coaching center, Rao's study circle, where these 3 young students drowned. Is the MCD therefore admitting that they were fully aware of the illegal structures and were only forced into action because of the media spotlight on the deaths? In other words, viewer, was the Municipal Corporation of Delhi bribed to shut its mouth on illegal structures, including Rao's, and only decided to act when it was no longer sustainable? In other words, is the MCD as corrupt now under the Aam Aadmi Party as it allegedly was under the BJP for the previous 10 years? I'd like some answers to that. Now let's come, as promised, to the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Vinay Kumar Saxena is his name. That's the guy you see in those pictures there. Does he get to sit on a high tower and take potshots at the Delhi government? The power struggles between the Delhi government and the Lieutenant Governor are now legendary, a cozy flashpoint on which to blame every bad thing that happens in India's rotting, murderous national capital. But while we demand answers from the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi government, which we are, how dare the Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Saxena, with all his very real powers in the national capital, pretend like these deaths of these 3 young students, Shreya, Tanya and Nevin, don't reflect on his own pathetic performance and lack of timely action? Saxena is happy to troop down to the site of the tragedy. Take a look at this. This is him just a couple of hours ago. where he was rightly heckled by angry students. But what stopped Mr. Saxena from doing a monthly audit of structures before the monsoon? Who stopped the Lieutenant Governor from getting off his chair and personally inspecting high-risk areas in the capital? Or is his job merely to impede the Delhi government and lecture it? Not for a moment does this take the spotlight off the accountability on the Delhi administration, but let the Lieutenant Governor be informed in no uncertain terms that he is not in the clear on this. The blood of 3 students stains Saxena's hands as well. And finally, in the 48 hours since this unspeakable tragedy, viewer, who has been arrested? The owners of the building, the owner of the IAS coaching center and his coordinator, and amazingly, the driver of this Jeep. The driver of this Jeep has been arrested. Not MCD, not Netas, not Delhi government, not anybody from the police, not anybody from the Lieutenant Governor's team, but the driver of this Jeep, another citizen who happened to be driving through the flooded, criminally neglected part of the national capital, where a cordon hadn't even been put in place by the Delhi police. Well, what was this Jeep doing there, you're wondering? Well, the driver of this Jeep was trying to transport some people, and then driving through this flooded area apparently sent a wave of water into the basement. And they've arrested him and impounded the car. That is what translates into action according to the system. Nobody from the MCD has been arrested. 2 junior irrelevant engineers have been suspended. Nobody from the Delhi government has been arrested. Their MLAs are shamelessly passing the buck. Nobody from the Lieutenant Governor's office has been arrested. He's happy to be trooping down there to the site to try and get some kind of traction. But the driver of a car on a flooded Delhi street has been arrested because his car made a wave of water enter an illegally used basement. Just think about that in terms of priorities, viewer. In the media, we sometimes bloodlessly talk of what makes a big story. 3 students, Shreya, Tanya, and Nevin. Aspirational, ambitious, working hard to become part of India's most elite civil service. Drown in the basement of their Delhi coaching center, far from home, where their parents have paid lakhs of rupees in fees. It doesn't get bigger than this. And I promise that we will not stop reporting this story until justice is served to the families of Shreya, Tanya, and Nevin.